Do we even have to discuss this? Do we even have to bother with this? Do we even have to even pretend that there is an answer to this? We Do we even have to seriously, do we have to pretend that there was something other than the complete and total, not only the destruction of, but the hands down victory of JD Vance? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, "Oh, come on, you're just saying this." I have never I never thought I would ever see such a difference between the two. I never thought. Who won, ladies and gentlemen? Who won? Give me your ideas. Let me go into you. What do you think? Now is the time. The world is watching. It is now 10:49 p.m. Literally blocks away, right there in Hell's Kitchen of the CBS. This is where it was. What do you think? Who won tonight, ladies and gentlemen? Who won? Don't take it from me. Who won? Who won? What do you think? It was absolute. Look at this. Someone says, I swear to God, extra mile, toss up. You cannot be serious. George Keene says, what was up with Timmy? Rapid head movements. The head movements, the look of fright, the look of what? The notes, the constant notes. What the hell was this about? He looked, and let's face it, a lot of this is just form. A lot of this is just form, and a lot of this is just, how you expect people to act when they know what they're doing. But did you notice, as did I, this sense of the bad haircut? He was lost in the China story. I mean, lost. He still did, I think, much better. I thought it was respectful. There were no moments. I thought JD Vance was better than anything I had even expected. And I feel 100% certain, 100% good, 100% confident that if anything, God forbid, were to happen to President Trump, Mr. Vance, Senator Vance would do a wonderful job. JD says, Dems put the brights on, call me crazy. Dem put the brights on, call me crazy. He was scripted. Indeed. George Key says, Timmy wrote great American novella during the debate. I know. What was that about? What was that strange behavior? Does this make any sense to you? Now we can go for particular moments. I thought, did you see the pink jacket? Do you know what the woman to the right, I didn't catch her name. She is wearing the pink jacket. This was determined, and this was organized ahead of time by Kamala acolytes to wear pink. George Key says, hard to call JD weird after this showing. Absolutely. Smooth, measured, polite, never lost his cool, always looked like he knew, like you knew he was going to nail the next question. There were some issues which I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you right now. Number one, the idea of abortion. America is tired of abortion. Let me also tell you something. Bridget Simansky, thank you. Those people whose names he mentioned, and don't forget Charlotte Klobuchar and Ramona Verona and Ingmar Johansson, who was in the car. These people better exist. That's all I'm saying. Because you know how Tampon Timmy gets. They better exist. They never brought up Springfield and the cats. They never brought up the tampons. They never brought up his war record. They never brought any of that stuff up. Now, you could argue I wanted him to go in for the kill. I didn't want this was like, well, he looked kind of weird. George Keane says, I was praying for JD to do jazz hands. How many of you find people believe with me that he should? I want to see blood. I want them to go in for the kill. I've been sitting throughout this whole thing waiting. Come on, man, go for it. Piss somebody off. Let's see what this man does. Show the world this was too measured. Child care, child credits. What are you, nuts? ACA mandates. Oh, for God's sakes. I'm not saying it's not important, but this isn't the debate. You understand half of the cretins who are watching this? He didn't throw him off one time. Not one time. Edie Crowley says, Dear Eyeshine caught in headlights. Yes. And I'm wondering, does JD wear eyeliner? Not that it matters. I thought he looked fine. The tie was so poorly selected, so poorly knotted, so poorly tied. Not good. That's me. Short of that, what are you going to do? This other stuff was boring. Regular Joe says Trump, JD, Tulsi, RFK Jr., Elon, and Dr. Ben Carson. Now that's a group I can get behind for our country. Lionel, you were the best, mi amigo. Thank you, my friend. I thought it was hands down. You should have been JD's debate coach. How do you think old Pete Booty Giggity Giggity Giggity's thinking right now? He was Tampon Timmy's coach. What do you think he's feeling right about now? Crypto said, our JD says, when he said Finland, he garbled. I thought of Mr. L. Thank you. It was, January 6th, for the love of God. Wicked Felina just became a YouTube member. Wicked, welcome aboard, young lady. Oh my God, we're having some kind of fun now. Rachel Byrne says, hello from Minnesota. I'm your number one fan where Tim Young Walz has ruined our lives. Vance took it easy on him. He honestly did. And thank you so much, Rachel. Welcome. George Key says, how about Soviet struggle sesh over J6? Oh, in 2020. Would you stop with this January 6th? We're so done with that. It's over. Data Storm says JD connected with regular people, like the moment when he talked about having enough money to turn on the heat. You notice how he went right into that immediately. The very first thing. They weren't even started yet. And he says, I come from a small thing. We had to eat dirt. That's right. I ate dirt. We would often sometimes have to resort to cannibalism. And it was tough. But anyway, yes, as far as the Affordable Care Act, he got that in. It's like somebody told him, whatever you do, make sure you bring in. We would actually eat rats. Did you do that? We ate rats when I was a kid. Yo, you think you're poor? We were so poor that, okay, that was good. Very frankly, does those stories work? No. No, they don't. They don't work. They don't work. They're kind of corny. But this is just look, let me see if I can explain something to you. And I know I can, because you're smart. You're real smart. Fishman says, I thought JD was a bum until tonight debate. Where have I been? He did great. Fishman, you said it best, my friend. Ready for this? I don't think that when it comes to JD, remember JD is going to have to deal with some pretty nasty people. Trump's better for that. Extra Mile says JD did not go for the kill, and 10 of your listeners say no one won. JD was better, but too nice. Interesting. I like that. George Keane says, imagine if JB's uncle eaten, you have Joe Biden's uncle eaten by the New Guinea was a topic. I like that one. Mark Wilson said, Sadie was a lady till she in the gravy. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Mark, always bringing it home, Mark. Listen, I don't care what your opinion is. Your opinion is welcome here, no matter how wrong it is. No matter how wrong. Was there a kill? These aren't supposed to kill. Carla, the cooking CEO, says this was very much like the Nikon JFK debate. Yes. You know, I'll tell you one. If you want to go back If you want to go back and really enjoy one of the greatest debates, one of the nicest debates ever, go back to Joe Lieberman and Dick Cheney. Oh my God, it was so cordial. It was incredible. You can't believe how polite they were. They were just great. They were so nice to each other to the point where you're saying, what are you doing? Come on, let's go for that. Let's show some blood. I'm a little funny. I appreciate that. By the way, so far our poll shows with 1,037 votes, JD Vance won 90%. We have a poll in the upright corner, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. We didn't get into it, but there was well, let me ask you this question because I'm jumping ahead of the game. What do you wish they would have talked about but didn't? Let me say something right off the bat. And I know this sounds like it's not a shameless plug, it's the truth. We are in the middle of a dock strike, the likes of which you cannot believe. And they are predicting absolute horrors coming up. Preparewithlionel.com. I don't know how to tell you anymore now. You can go in the description section. This is emergency food. They have a special 4-week $50. Just look at it, right? But just look at what's happening. Water purification, energy, food, emergency food, any kind of plan you want. I'm warning you. Did you hear the head of the longshoremen? This guy sounds like an enforcer from the Gambinos. This guy's serious. I'm warning you that you can laugh all you want about, well, this prepper stuff. Stop it. Do yourself a favor. Pay attention. This is serious business. Preparewithlionel.com. You know and I know it's going to be disastrous. Sorry about that. Crypto says I voted for JD Vance, but in blind from jazz hand. George King says JD made Trump's perform to Kamala Harris look mean by comparison. Faye says people will walk away thinking JD could replace Trump should an attack be successful. That is precisely correct. Mark Wilson said they should have talked about the strike and tampons. Yes, I want to see a little bit of blood. They should have talked more about pheasant hunting. Well, there you go with that. I like a little bit more of this. Listen, we all have our styles. My styles is my basic thing is I'm okay for a while, but I can turn into a prick. And the first thing I do is I want to see where's your sensitive part? How do I hurt you? When do you give in? When can I hurt you? When can I make you scream for mercy? I would have said tampons in the boys' room. And as soon as they interrupt, put your hand down and say, wait a minute. Are you kidding me? Explain that one, blood and guts. Sergeant Major. Oh, excuse me. Oh, God. You know what would have happened? They would have said, that's the guy I love. Because we live in a rough and tumble world. We're Americans and we like people to kick people's ass. That's why Trump is there. This is great. It's a different style. You can't be something you're not. You can't pretend to be something you're not. I understand this. I dig it. But there was a demeanor. The pictures all night long. I'm getting these snapshots from folks of showing this, that look, that shock. Let me tell you something. I've told you this repeatedly. There's this thing about stagecraft. George King says, I'm kidding about pheasant hunting. I would have talked about Gwen smelling tire fire and why he didn't do anything when Minneapolis burned. That takes too much time. How about this? Tampons in the boys' room? Simple. They'd say, what? Remember Brownsville Station? Smoking in the boys' room. This is tampons in the boys' room. Crypto Domini says, I'm pissed No one was clear on the 8th-month abortion. Yeah. I'm sorry, folks. Abortion is the kiss of death to me. I'm sorry. I know I'm not supposed to say that. I don't care. I've heard it. I've heard it. Most people, listen to what I'm saying. Most people will never have an abortion. Most people have never had an abortion. It is a myth. It is a liberal, radical left. It's important, but the idea that people are, okay, what about abortion? Nobody gives a shit about abortion. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hate to be so crude. I've been watching this thing, waiting for you, by the way. This is one of those sham stories. I want you to tell me about this feeling. Let me put it to you this way. One of these two guys is going to be your doctor. Clem Hopper here, Marcus Welby, or the other guy? Who makes you feel at ease? Crypto says, I agree. They left that out there for 15 minutes. There are some issues. Child care tax credit. Oh, for the love of God. Data Storm Production says, I wish someone would have called Tim out for saying he's friends with school shooters. Yes. Mrs. L said that last night. Did I hear that? But he misspeaks. He misspeaks. Go back and watch him on China. Dear God, you should have, remember something. Uncle Lenny will tell you, when they catch you saying something, admit it. Tell them, yeah, I went to China 3 or 4 times. You ever been? It's beautiful. Edie Crowley said, Vance looked great. Tim kept looking down. He kept looking down and he kept looking out. There's a way of looking. Let me give you an example. When you're ever on a camera, you don't want to look like you're looking out lost, or that you're looking where you don't know where to look. Pick a point, look at it, stay there, keep it. But don't look like you're always trying to say, like, is that the lens? Is that the lens I'm supposed to look at? George Key says, you said it best. JD didn't make Tim's weirdness get showcased. I would have done Jim Gaffigan during debate to Tim. Would have said his wife is weird. Oh, absolutely. George Sola says, Timmy had a look on his face like he was passing Diddy's egg test. Oh my God. Joe, you're sick. You're sick. Oh, man. I'm going to party with you, Joey. I'm going to party with you, my man. George Key says, Tim's prairie dog moments made him look odd. Yes. That. Right. Tim, this is weird. I kept saying to myself, Tim Walz is, I'm just to make sure, he's 60 years old. Now, let me explain something to you. I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm looking at him and I'm thinking to myself, how old is this guy? He's 6. I'm 6 years older than him. I'm looking at him like, what is he, 70 something? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's weird. Trump doesn't age. He looks the same he's had for years. He's 60. That's it. Lionel Clothing Company says LCC will be donating $5 to the Harris Walz campaign for every package of tampon sold. Thank you so much. CD me JD. CD says, he said making greens with greens with school shooters indeed. Yeah, making greens or friends. I don't know what that greens is, but it was very, very odd. But I want you to think about this. You go into a doctor. One of these is a doctor, either Tampon Timmy or JD. Who would you feel the most calm with? When you go to a movie and you like a movie and you've enjoyed the movie it's your favorite. What was the reason? Is there a scene? No. There's a feeling. You always have to stay with your style. I'm a prick. That's what I do. It's my nature. I'll get under your nerves and I'll say, hey, take it easy. Take it easy there, Timmy. Take it easy. George Key said, did Tim's son witness a shooting? Remember that one? I guarantee you, as we speak, and I'm glad you brought that up there, Georgie. I'm glad you brought that up. There's going to be a lot of folks checking all this stuff out. Names of these people. Who were these? Ramona, who? Arrington in the front. There's no such person. And do you think some of these people wanted their names known? Do you think if I said, there's a young man named George Keene, and George Keene suffered from projectile diarrhea, much to the point that he never had a date and had to leave school early. In fact, he always wanted to go to a movie, but he wouldn't be let in because of the flatulence and the constant Vesuvius-like. You say, what are you telling them? Don't tell them that stuff. Did he get an okay for that? George says, is anyone moving to Minnesota because Tampon is governor? No. I kept telling her, I had a friend of mine tonight. I'm texting, I'm tweeting, I'm texting, I'm doing all this stuff. And I'm looking at one is a friend of mine who lives in Minnesota. I said, you poor thing. You poor thing. And another friend of mine who's very, very lib, he hates Trump. He says, I can't watch this anymore. That said it all for me. Linda Hasler says, Walz made me so uneasy. You're right about that. Carl Peterson, by the way, who also was on the Donna Reed show years ago, said, I actually have a map of Timmy's bald head. George Keene said, stop hitting too close to home. When you're mentioning names like this, I mean, don't you love this story? We had to eat a musk. Did you ever eat squirrel? We ate rats. I would have to burn my socks for heat. It's like, okay, enough of that. Enough of that. I know people cared about this. I know they were into this stuff, but these stories are just too much. Crypto says, meeting new gems equivalent with making schoolmates. Meeting new germs equivalent with making schoolmates. You are wild. I want to party with you, my man. You speaking is kind of a Sun Ra, like a Mingus speak. Mark Wilson says tampons in the boys' room because everybody knows that tampons ain't allowed in boys' rooms. I can't believe I'm sorry. Tampon Timmy, tampon, doodah. That would have been me. I also would have made a couple of points too. Very, very clear. Because remember that. Tim, with all due respect, governor. They say you can tell a man by what he chooses to lie about. Thank you, Spitfire. But I got to ask you a question. How is it that somebody who's been in the military for 24 years, and I was in the Marines, so I know a little bit about this. And by the way, thank you for your service. But I retired or I got out as a lieutenant or whatever his rank was. How did you confuse Command Sergeant Major with Master Sergeant? Now, I don't want to call this stolen valor. That's a very serious offense. But you got to ask the question. You were in there for 24 years. How do you confuse that? Crypto says germs are now friends. Thank you for that. Interesting. George Keene says, JD should have said to the moderators, please, don't David Muir me. Also, JD should have said, when did Kamala Harris realize Joe Biden is mentally gone? It's criminal. That's a great question. What about this? How many times have you been to those places? How many times have you been in North Carolina? How many times have you been? How many times have you and Gwen been there? How many times have you seen this? President Trump was there the whole time. When they talked about Iran, you know what most people did? Look, there's one thing I know. Let me ask you a question. Did you ever have a kid's party? Right? Kids have a party. And you're in charge of the food. And you say, let me take care of this. I know what I'm doing. I know what I like. I know what they don't like. I know what they like. They like hot dogs. They like pizza. They like this. They like that. This is what they like. They're like that. They're kids. I know this. Yeah, but they don't want salad. They don't want I'm telling you right now, I know what kids like. And I know what I'm talking about. There are people who, for the first time, are watching this. We live in a world, ladies and gentlemen, where we go into social media, where we want to see people getting arrested. I watch arrest videos all day. George Keane says, great point. Billions for Z, none for NC. Right. Zelensky could have talked about that a little bit, a little bit. That's not it. I don't want, remember, I think in terms of bumper sticker stuff. I want something that you can immediately look to and react viscerally, not where you have to think, not for a moment. Jimmy Fields Production says, hey, Lionel. Ray James from Snap Judgment says, hello. How can I get in touch with you? Excellent. Lionel at LionelMedia.com. Lionel at LionelMedia.com. Lionel at LionelMedia.com. One more time. Lionel at LionelMedia.com. Thank you, my friend. Crypto D says Walz has germs. You seem to be perseverating on that. JD was smooth, absolutely. But as I was going back, as I was saying this, when you got a kid's meal menu, you give them hot dogs, you get pizza, whatever it is. You don't have to sit down. They like that. You want them to say, and I told you this, if you watch me long enough, my friends, I told you the only thing I want, the only test I want from a debate is for the whole world to say, did you see that last night? George says, when Crypto said germs, I think he meant Germans. It's okay. I like the germs better. It's a bit arcane, but there's nothing wrong with it. One arcane and recondite do as the recondite do. I would have said right off the bat, command sergeant major to master sergeant. You've been telling that story for the whole time. If you can't tell the truth about something that nobody asked you, you volunteered that. Nobody asked you a question. You told people you were a command sergeant major. This is the highest enlisted rank. Nobody makes a mistake about that. And you also jumped out. You bolted before your team, your crew went to Iraq. You went to Italy defending us and you were, which is okay, but you quit. You quit to go into Congress. That's not the story you told. You even lied about being the coach. You weren't the coach of a high school team. What the hell's the matter with you? California, 211. I can't even say that name. Thank you so much. Edie says, something subtle I noticed. Vance never referred to the present administration as Biden's, but rather Harris. Interesting. That was very good. Very astute of you. Linda Haslett says, the moderators ask stupid questions. Not pertinent to today. Could not have said it better myself. You do understand this story. You do understand this 0-27, this whatever, this team. Tampon Timmy was not the coach. Let me see if I can explain this again to you. Let me say this again. He wasn't the head coach. He said he was. Amy Klobuchar said, that's our man. That's the coach. He wasn't a coach. Do you understand, ladies and gentlemen? You're watching at home. This man lies about stuff nobody gives a shit about. Pardon my French. He lies about things that aren't even important. He lies about things that nobody cares about. Crypto says, ha, 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 ha. I want to party with you too. IVF. Ladies and gentlemen, when he brought up that IVF stuff, I said, oh, you're not going to do that again, are you? Do you know, my dear friends, many of you watching for the first time, do you know that when you have a disease or something, you have something that goes wrong with you, especially with your kids, you know everything about it. What do you got? Well, he's got von Kutrin syndrome. I wouldn't be doing a prophylactin, and we did a salpingo-oophorectomy and a transverse with a substrate with an EDF and a postpartum substantive suturing. You know the name. What are you talking about? I don't know, but 2 weeks ago, I didn't know any of this stuff, but now I'm an expert. George says, JD failed his kitty constituents. No cat mentioned. I know. I'll get to that in a moment. But you're right about that. So he said, IVF. My wife had IVF. No, it was IUI, intrauterine insemination. That's nothing. Basically, they put some some I don't want to say word the semen. It's a family show. It actually into the uterus. It's very, very simple. Here's a needle. And you can do the jokes all you want. That's not the same as IVF. These aren't frozen embryos. He got it wrong. So Gwen says, hey, hold it. Wait a minute. We got a problem here. Timmy, I didn't have IVF. I had IUI. Okay. And he still did it. He still did it. So he lies about, and he lied about drunk driving. He says, well, the reason why the drunk driving was because I wasn't even drinking. And the lawyer said, no, you were drinking. No, Timmy, what are you doing? No, you pled to a reckless, but you were over the limit. He lies about stuff that doesn't even matter. He lies about the IVF. He lies about the coach. He lies about the command sergeant major. He lies about stuff that's just stupid. That's the part. I say again, the last Walz. Oh, yes. And don't forget the great Walz of China. Don't forget that one. Hello, Walz. Who wrote that? Willie Nelson. Fair and Young did it. Nelson says, 280,000 subscribers, Uncle Len on Fire. We love you. What you do. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my friend. Tampon Tim, the diaper man. What a shame. Still ridiculous. George Keane says, Gwen and the turkey baster film at 7. Wow. Now, let's talk about this. The story, which I thought was the best, and hear me out, dear friends, was the fact that in Springfield, Ohio, they're eating cats and ducks and geese. I'm going to break into the Marrakesh Express pretty soon. Ducks, wild Haitians walking around eating. Did you ever see those? They had some rough stuff on X or Twitter that you knew was from something else. I mean, they were doing exsanguination, of kittens. I mean, this was serious stuff. CR says he pretended to be deaf during the DUI too. Yes. Oh, no, CR. He said, right. He said that he had he couldn't do some of the field sobriety tests because of some type of an ear damage during Blood and Guts, during his tour of Italy, which of course was hell on wheels. Cobb says JD was superb and unflappable, and he clearly won. Wall was a herky-jerky mess, but I thought he did better than expected in terms of behaving himself. Well, you know what? It's not good when somebody says, Cobbs, you did a lot better than I thought you would. That's not good. That's like a blind date. You're not as ugly as I thought you would be. That's not good. Mark Wilson says JD was there for the undecided, the folks that want to vote for DJT, but think he's a bit wild. JD was sober, reasoned, and coherent. The pink tie was for the gay constituency. Brilliant performance. Well, he also had to tie it better. The knot was off. But aside from that, what do you think they were saying when he went home and he said, hey, kids, what'd you think about your old man? How'd I do? Well, what'd you think? Well, it's not everything. Look, you're an acquired taste. What am I going to tell you? How'd I do? Well, debates. Imagine Tim's interpretive DUI dance. Oh, I know. See, but here's what I was going to say before. Where were you when you heard about the cats and animals and pets being eaten by wild Haitians who are doing demolition driving? Did you? I mean, this was like, whoa, wait a minute. What? Springfield, Ohio. Crypto says, some fact check his Finland flight. Yes. We're going to look into that. The Finland is like, the Finland and his son, and he's friends with shooters. Is like, what the hell was that? We're going to get to that one tomorrow. Don't you wish he'd turn and say, "Excuse me, what?" See, that would have been me because I'm the prick. I'm the prick. I'm the one who would have said, "You've got to be kidding me. You did what? You expect me to believe that? You're kidding me." Oh, how do you think Putin, Poot, interesting pun there. How do you think Pete, Booty Giggity Giggity, was thinking about this? He was his coach. Can you imagine what he's thinking? Dear God, that was absolutely, how do I say this? Horrid. Horrid. Let me see here. Stand by here. God, there's so much stuff here. So much tremendo stuff going on here, here, here. Okay, pardon me. Sorry for that. Let me go back. Sorry. Blake Norman. Doesn't that sound like a good country song? Blake Norman. Live at the more Lionel rolls off the tongue, the more I like it. Loving your breakdowns on the issues. Thank you, Blake. I appreciate that. Blake is how somebody from Beijing would say break. It's an old joke. Okay, let me go back. Let me try again. When I first heard that a town of 48,000, Springfield, Ohio, gets 20,000 Haitians, and the Haitians are saying, "What the fuck are we doing here in Springfield, Ohio? What about little Haiti in Miami?" Oh, no, 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 no. Z-Corps says, what would the late great Rush Limbaugh have thought? He would have said exactly what we're doing. Rush Limbaugh was one of the nicest, greatest guys, bar none. We worked together at WABC on the 17th floor. Before he went to Florida, he was a most gracious fellow. George Key says, if KH wins, do you think Pete has a job with her? Oh, yes, of course. By the way, did you see the picture, interestingly enough, of the ball signed by Pete Rose to Donald Trump? Pete Rose. That bothered me. I know this is a timeout. John Amos, I liked him a lot. But Pete Rose never got into the Hall of Fame. When these steroid freaks, they get in, they broke the rules. They cheated left and right. Anyway, when these people went crazy talking about the cats, I would have brought it up right away. Those people in Springfield who went up and said, "No, you don't understand. They're in our yards. The Haitian people. They're not bad people. They don't know about McDonald's. You can't drop them off in Springfield, Ohio." And when I heard this, I'm saying that's my issue. That's my issue because the left, and I hate to use left, but the left, or these whatever these people were, went crazy. Crypto says Trump commemorates the national park spot on the illegals wall. The writings on the walls. Indeed. How many people also say waltz? That drives me across. Oh, and he says nuclear. Nuclear. When I hear that, I still go crazy. That's called a cacoepy. A cacoepy. Versus orthoepy, where you say the name wrong, say it incorrectly. They also say cochlear, correct? They don't say cochlear. I don't know why we haven't figured at this point. Anybody who says nuclear, I don't want you near the nuclear bomb. George says Pete Rose not getting in sports tragedy. Absolutely. R.I.P. Okay. The bottom line is simply this. So that you know this, in case many of you have just tuned in. I am not a Republican. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I don't know what these labels mean. I am a political atheist. I don't know anything about these names. I'm not one of these people who goes crazy over Ronald Reagan. I'm not one of these people who go, these CPAC lunatics who talk about Jesus. Oh, what about this? He's quoting Matthew. He's quoting praise Jesus, praise God. Stay away from that. A lot of people aren't into that, but that's okay. If that's the least you can do, whatever it is. So I'm not what you think. And then there was a time when I grew up where I thought that the progressive types and the Democrats, and these were the cool people. These are the people I liked. They were anti-war, pro-civil rights, pro-union. I was for gay marriage before anybody. I mean, years ago. Pro-gun, kind of libertarian, whatever you want to call it. It didn't have a name. We didn't have names then. It just made sense. It made sense. And today, we have to stop using names. Let me ask you, how many of you people believe, or which of your kids do you want dying either in Ukraine or in Finland or some NATO country or in Israel or wherever it is, if that were to ever come to that? Can you explain to me why we are doing this? Why we're forgetting what happened with Hurricane Helene and we're sending billions of dollars to that rat bastard Zelensky, who's pocketing this money and spreading the rest? The Ukrainians aren't getting this. Can you explain to me how we live in a world where what we are doing to people in Palestine? It's horrible. You can say, well, it's not Palestine. Don't give me this argument. I mean, not millions, but tens of thousands. The numbers are out of this. They don't matter. And if I say something, I'm an anti-Semite. So what I'm saying is I clearly don't fit in. I can't stand Fox News. I loathe MSDNC. I don't fit in. But I'm telling you something right now. I'm voting for Donald Trump because of this. He is a chemotherapy to stop this nonsense. I never thought I would live in a world where we're actually debating things like what's a man and what's a woman. This is degenerate stuff. That's what I would have brought up, not home credit for after school, whatever it's called. Mark Wilson says dogs and cats and geese better scurry when them Haitians are in the Surrey with the fringe on top. Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely. Crypto says, I'm not here either, Uncle Lenny. I'm not from here, rather. Tim had the eye movements of the Springfield cat. That was great. Very good. Tim gave me that Helsinki feeling. Oh, God. So let me just explain this to you again, because I know what you're thinking. I'm not one of these people who thinks that everything is terrific. There are very few people I like. Donald Trump does some stupid things, but here's the deal. He scares people, and he loves his job, and he wants so much to be president. And this Kamala, I don't know where she came from. I don't know whoever said, hey, you'd be good at this. She's the only person who, after a while, gets worse speaking in public. Have you ever figured that one out? How does that happen? There was an old joke years ago of Einstein. Einstein's going around giving speeches, and he has a driver. This is the story. And one day the driver says, Professor Einstein, not for nothing, my friend, but, I've heard this lecture of yours so many times. I think I can give it. He said, oh, really? He said, yeah, I've heard it a million times. You say the same stuff all the time. He said, you think you can go up and you can give me? Yeah, I can do one of your lectures because you do it all the time. He said, okay. So they switch the routine, puts on the chauffeur's cap, and this guy gets up and he pretends to be Einstein and everything's fine. Somebody in the back asks him a question. He says, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. He says, but you know what, sir? Your question is so easy. In fact, your question is so easy, even my driver can answer it. Okay. The moral of the story is that after a period of time, you get good at stuff. And you get good at stuff. You get good at things like, I don't know, inflation. Or things like war or the GDP. You just hear stuff. Maybe somebody came in and actually gave you lessons over a period of time. Not her. No, she doesn't do that. She's too smart for that. Okay? She's actually worked. The other day, she learned the word holistically, and I wanted to puke. George says, think they bring Jim Gaffigan back for his Saturday Night Live? Oh, you know that they were sitting around tonight screaming. Truffle says, Trump is fearless, Kamala clueless. Oh, I believe this Trump is clueless. Trump is from another planet. Let me ask you something. Can you imagine walking in and there's Putin sitting in front of you? Right? You ever see how Putin has one arm moves and the other one doesn't? From his KGB days, from the gun, one arm, I think it's his left moves, but his right doesn't. It just doesn't move. It's just there. Can you imagine this guy sitting across from you? And we got Kamala sitting there. And she's going to have to sit there and say, do not mess with me. Reagan had it. It's called gravitas. Call it what you want. Nixon had it. And Trump has it. I don't know if JD has it. There's something about, and I'm telling you something, believe it or not, there's something about age. When you get to be a certain age, you can do stuff you couldn't do before. People listen to you differently. It's the strangest thing. They kind of believe you. They think you know what you're talking about because of your age. Well, when I was, in the 60s. Oh, okay. So I think, I think JD's got it, but I sure as hell know that Jazz Hands doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. That's what I want. There are people. Let me ask you something. Can you think of any person in the country, anybody in our history that was as big a nincompoop? I don't think Kamala Harris is stupid per se. I don't think she's organically stupid. I really don't think so. Robert Bone, excuse me. I got a bone to pick with you. Thank you, Boney. I don't think she's stupid. But are you kids old? You remember Dan Quayle? He spelled potato wrong or something. Oh, what are you retarded? You guys retarded. Why, you spelled potato wrong? That's nothing. He's Niels Bohr compared to this woman. He's Ed Whitten compared to I've never seen anything like it. Do you remember where you were when you realized this woman doesn't know what the hell she's talking about? Do you remember that? Anonymous source says, do you believe the debate helped the undecided? Yes. I'll explain that more. Joe says, come on, SNL gave me a Steve Martin skit dressed as a Haitian juggling cats over a hot flame. I can dream. They want so much. Let me ask you something. Anonymous brings up a good question. Do you think they helped the undecided? Yes. Let me tell you why. First of all, let me see if I can explain this to you. And it works very, very simple. Right now, we have, as we speak, 35 days until the election. Now, as you know, there are three groups of people. One, I'm voting for Trump no matter what. Not because I'm a Republican. In fact, the first time I didn't vote for him, the first time I wrote my name in because I realized there's no way this guy's going to beat Hillary Clinton. It's ridiculous. It's a waste of time. I'm not going to be a party to this joke. There's no way he's going to beat Hillary Clinton. It's just not going to happen. So I wrote my name in. It's the second time I did it after I voted for Barack Obama the first time. I mean, come on, after with Sarah Palin. Remember that numbnuts? What a bag of rocks she was. She was an idiot with John McCain. John McCain of 2000 was one thing. This guy was another story. So I wrote my name in. So I'm not going to vote for this. After the first time with Obama, Barry, I'm not going to do that again. Second time was with Romney. That's it. I'm done. So, but Trump came along and said, I'm not going to do this. So I didn't vote for him. And I thought, oh my God, this guy's not bad. Crypto says, I don't trust her alone with Putin sextet service or not. I'm telling you, Crypto, I'm digging you, man. George says, in my ideal world, Kamala Harris would have been at Corn Pop. Now, you know who was laughing his ass off? Biden. Let me go back to my question because I'm veering off. It's tough. Got a lot of moving parts here. I'm like George Brennan. Remember him? Or George, that's not his name. Eric Brennan. He was a guy on Ed Sullivan with the sticks and the plates, and he's got all these things going around. Okay. You got three groups of people. One, I'm going to vote for Trump. Two, I'm not going to vote for Trump. Nobody's voting for Kamala. They're voting against Trump. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody is voting for Kamala. Nobody. Kamala. Nobody is voting for her. Nobody. They're voting either Democrat or they're voting for the woman, or whether she's black or Asian, whatever the hell it is. I don't care. They're voting for that, but they're not voting for her. There's nothing to vote for. You know what I know, and she knows that. We all know that. Okay, fine. So then we got this group in the middle, and this Gaussian curve sort of thing. And these are the people who are saying, I'm not even worried about this yet. I'm a vote, maybe, I don't know. I know you're going to say, how can you not make up your mind? Believe me, more people than not. Have you ever gone to when you vote sometimes, and you say, oh, okay, and you go, oh shit, what is this? You turn it around and he goes, look, there's things on the back. I didn't know this. I thought I read my ballot correctly. Mark Wilson says, Kamala, paid escort. Please, enough with the sexual jokes about her. She's a vivacious young lady who has the right to explore whatever she wants. All right. Do you ever turn the page over and you go, oh God, look at this. She's a judge. Ramon Ramirez versus Sylvia Westblatt. Well, for a woman. You ever do that? Of course you do. Oh, that's a weird name. I like that. That sounds like a judge. What about Amendment 1? I always vote no for the amendments. No. This is what legislation's for. Don't make me vote. These referendums are stupid. What is this, California? Crypto says, it won't let me say put in Secret Service. I think you just did. Kamala should be on billboards nationwide. Oh, absolutely. And our friends, the Latinos, will get a big kick out of it. Okay, back to the question that Anonymous said. Does this affect the undecided? Yes. Because somebody's saying, that's all it takes. You know what? Goddamn. You know what? I'm a vote. God damn it. I'm a vote. That's it. This guy was this. You know what? I'm voting for him. You know what? That's exactly the way it works. That is exactly the way people think. That is exactly the way they vote. That's it. There's no science to it. You don't go in there for a particular issue. You don't sit there and say, let me explain something also to you. This is our friend, the Constitution. Okay? Let me give you this abortion lecture. You got to listen to me because it's critical. Edie says, my bestie finally decided. Trump, Vance. Absolutely. This is it. In this wonderful document in the Bill of Rights, in the 5th and 14th Amendment, a person, a citizen, a person, not even a citizen, but a person cannot be denied of life, liberty, or property without due process. Meaning, I can take your life, I can take your property, I can take your freedom, so long as I give you due process to determine the removal of that. You got that? Okay. In 1965, please work with me. There was a case called Griswold. Griswold against Connecticut. William O. Douglas. It was a case that dealt with the prohibition of contraceptives. You couldn't buy contraceptives in Connecticut. And it was a Catholic thing. It was the Knights of Columbus. It was complete nonsense. But the point was there was this law. So the Supreme Court got it. Now, this may surprise you. You may find this shocking. But there is nothing in the Constitution that guarantees you the right to contraceptives. I'm sorry. There's nothing in the Constitution that guarantees you the right to contraception. There's nothing in the Constitution that gives you the right to sodomy. There's nothing in the Constitution. The Constitution does not mention the Air Force. It doesn't mention how many justices. It doesn't mention voting. It doesn't mention marriage. It doesn't mention a lot of stuff. It doesn't mention it. Doesn't mean you can't have a law. Just doesn't mention it. Anonymous says, what are your thoughts on people like Alan Lichtman, who use prediction models to forecast the U.S. election? Nonsense. If you read him, he always has this proviso. He's never gotten this wrong. No, it's nonsense. No, Trump's going to win unless they steal it outright. So let me go back to what I'm saying. 1965, William O. Douglas, he says, we got this case. And he says, we cannot allow there to be a law that prevents people from buying contraception. And they said, but there's nothing in the Constitution. You have life, liberty, or property, but there are no due process. It's a due process right. They say you can take away these things so long as you have a procedure The only rights you have are procedures. Meaning, sure, kill him, but have a trial. Sure, throw him into prison for life, but have a trial. Sure, take his property, eminent domain, but have a they don't grant you rights. The only constitutional provision, the only one that can even be committed by a civilian is the 13th Amendment, slavery. That's it. Okay. So William O. Douglas said, I'm going to fix them. I'm going to come up with this thing called privacy. They said, what the hell is privacy? Privacy. What's privacy? Privacy. Privacy is the penumbra, the rights that are emanating. Wait, what? The penumbra? Yeah, like when you see the moon and the light from it, and the lights from the third to fourth, and he made this up. He created this thing called privacy. It's nowhere in. They said, what is privacy? That's like me saying stuff, or I'm going to find it wrong because it's not fair. Since 1965, this case, 1973 comes along. Harry Blackman pens Roe against Wade. He comes up with this privacy again. I say, what are you doing? Then they have something called procedural due process. I don't want to get into that. And then Casey overrules Roe. So finally, the Dobbs case says, all right, that's enough. This is ridiculous. And people who are, and I'm pro-choice. Meaning, I don't think a woman should go to prison for having an abortion. I don't like abortions, but there's a thing in the Constitution. And these lefty, radical left, whatever, have this thing where their whole focus is on a reproductive right. There is no such thing as this. That's all Dobbs did. And if your state wants to have abortion, do it. I'm against the death penalty. For different reasons. Why? Because I don't want this stupid system deciding who dies and who doesn't. But the death penalty is guaranteed by the Constitution. Remember, life, liberty, property. Fifth Amendment. It says it. They used to put people to death all the time for felonies, anything. So here I have this wonderful document. I'm pro-choice. It doesn't provide a guarantee of abortion. I'm anti-death penalty, and it provides an absolute guarantee of death. So that's the way we work. It's no big deal. It's not left. It's not right. It's the way it works. Crypto says, Uncle L, what about the folk that say the 14th Amendment wasn't ratified? Nice try. George Key says, Griswold is why penumbras made it in the SATs. Yes. Sam Whiskey says, a dictator's career path starts in the military, not in the private sector. Interesting. And by the way, speaking of which, remember, drafters of the Constitution hated standing military. Okay? Now, we live in a world, my friends, you probably agree with me. We're not left. We're not right. We make sense. The Widening Gyre says, my Mexican-American family members are single issue on immigration. My female family members are single issue on abortion. They are myopioids. Well, unfortunately, I hate to tell you this, but I don't know what to tell you about this immigration. Let's talk about that for a moment. Very, very simple rule. I live in a city of New York City right now where I am. And I can tell you that I benefit tremendously from heterogeneity. I love the fact that we live in a world where there are all these crazy people and all these wonderful foods. And this is a polyglot, wonderful world I live in where you can smell and hear and things. And I love this. However, you have to follow the rules to come in here. You can't just come pouring in over the border. It's just common sense. John Jolene says, regarding the flypaper topic of abortion, could Trump just say this is not the United States of abortion? Yes, absolutely. And they're going to ask him, would you sign a document? Would you sign a law that guarantees, President Trump, that guarantees a woman's right to an abortion, whatever, that codifies what people believe Roe to be? Would you sign it? If you want, that's the law. Look, I got news for you. This is one of those things like this. And I know this doesn't make any sense to you, but this is it. Okay. And this is it. It means like this. That is a baby. That's a human being. That's a baby inside of a woman. And if she wants to terminate that baby, I don't want her to do it. We should make everything available. However, I'm not going to have a law that says, no, you can't do that. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to do that. And you know, and I know, if all of a sudden your daughter, your little Megan and Michaela, who's waiting for that big lacrosse, scholarship to Virginia, she gets knocked up by some pool boy, I guarantee you the first thing you're going to be doing is take her to a doctor to take care of that. I'm sorry, you know it, and I know it. And we're not talking about the rape and all that business. Abortion is the most ridiculous non-issue there is. Let me say this again. Most people do not have abortions. Most people have never had an abortion. Most people don't care about abortions. I mean, they care about it, but they don't stay up late at night. They worry about being clobbered. They worry about crime. They worry about the fact that we've got these lunatic, these demented sexual freaks coming in here and saying and suggesting that there's no such thing as gender. Edie Crowley says, Mr. L, don't forget, Vance hit all the issues brought up on Lynn's Warriors. Absolutely. By the way, follow my beloved Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. Let me just go through this. We can spend this, and I would love to. This sounds terrible, but if I ever ran, it'd be very, very simple. It'd be the easiest thing in the world. I would pick issues that people understood. That's it. I wouldn't go off one of these things. People, if you can't put it on a bumper sticker, I'm not interested in it. I'm not. Am I a populist? Whatever. If you can have a name for what you believe in, you don't really believe in something worth knowing. If you can have a name behind it. Now, let me explain to you what's going on right now. This country is so screwed. And I don't know what happened. Remember, the lefties, I used to like these people. They were cool. They were okay. They were the rockers. They were, like I said, John Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, anti-war. And they were all right. And everything was fine. And the Republicans were stodgy. And they were, oh, God, for God's sakes. Don't you remember what happened? 1972. Well, before that. There was a time right after the civil rights movement, and the Dixiecrats, who, by the way, remember the Klan were Democrats. The Klan were all Democrats. They said, what is this shit? What's going on here? We're in the South. What is this? We got Bobby Kennedy here. We got this and that. Lyndon Johnson. What are you doing? Civil rights. They couldn't believe this. They didn't know the war was over. They were completely pissed off. Until the Republicans said, come here. The Southern solution came along. Strom Thurmond, Nixon. He says, listen, why don't you come and join the Republicans? What? Yeah, Republicans. Listen, we're in charge of, the Department of Justice. We can kind of pump the brakes on these civil rights things. Come with us. We understand your thing about tradition and whatever it is. And they said, okay, it's a deal. Ronald Reagan comes along and says, come here. Remember James Robison, Jerry Falwell, the moral majority, the Christian right. You've been rejected. They're laughing at you because the lefties got haughty. We're smarter than you. Their symbology, the semiotics of the left was the peace sign and abortion and the dove and what is this crap? The right still was the flag. Oh, glory, God damn it. And our Trump totems, and by God, why don't you come in? So the tent's getting bigger. We got the people who are, I don't want to say the Klan, but we got some hardcore. Then all of a sudden came in the moral majority. Then later on, the libertarians came in. Then the remember the Tea Party folks? They came in. Then the conservatives came in. Most Republicans weren't really conservatives. They were Lowell Weicker, Jack Javits, those kind of Republicans. They were like, that's how smart that was. That's how the Republicans built this tent of these people that were just And the left, I don't know what happened. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think the Democrats care so much about all of a sudden swarms of people? Why do you think all of a sudden in Ohio, why do you think in Ohio, Springfield, Ohio, they want Haitians? They want a permanent, you know this, I don't have to tell you this, they want a permanent Democratic majority. Their goals are very simple. They want to reverse the filibuster. This is what Kamala was saying the other day about abortion. They want to repeal the filibuster rule. They want to pack the Supreme Court. They want to make the D.C. and Puerto Rico, well, good luck with that one, the 51st state, definitely D.C. And they want to have a permanent majority. So that when you come into this country and they say, great, come on in. You welcome. You're going to vote Democrat. Yeah. Go over here. Get on a plane and we're going to send you to Duluth, Minnesota. Duluth? Yes. Why am I going to Duluth? Because the census is going to come up and we want to have this new, don't call it the replacement theory, but this new group of people who all of a sudden are going to change, going to gerrymander. We're going to change the population. We're going to change this. You got that? Have you ever lived in your neck of the woods where you see new planes? Remember those white planes and white buses? We saw them here in New Jersey, Teterboro Airport. Saw them all the time. Westchester. Who were these people flying in? All of a sudden, somebody. Let me ask you a question. Who runs the show? Who runs this country? Who runs this country? Who? Is it the president? Is it the Senate? Is it Congress? Who runs this country? Let me ask you another question. Do you think they control the weather? What do you say? Can they control the weather? Can they control the weather? What are you talking about? Have you ever thought about this? You could be a conspirateer. Do you believe in conspiracies? Yes, you do. A conspiracy is an illegal, usually, agreement between two or more people. Secret. Conspiracy. Conspire. To breathe together. Nelson says, when CNN admits Vance won, we seal the deal. Doesn't matter. Let me stop you right there. I'm going to get to the hard question here. Freedom says, Timmy boy, just like Kamala, same old playbook, to run down Trump and bring up January 6th. Oh, come on. January 6th was just nothing. Do you really believe that anybody could overthrow? Do you believe that these people, some fat guy with a cameo on and an eye patch is gonna what? Take over the 82nd Airborne? Mark Wilson says, Lionel, please make sure that your audience knows the translation. Kamala. Oh yeah. How bad? How terrible? Kamala. Que cojones? Que? How bad? How terrible? Mala. Maladroid. Maladjustment. Mal. Bad. You dig? Good. We have to have a class for a lot of newcomers here. A class. They want to change everything. They want to shut down your speech. How many here have been shut down and put into Facebook, jail, been deplatformed? Crypto says, does DC geography get bigger or just a demographic with that? No, they just get 2 senators and a congressman. They kind of have a congressman, but it doesn't really, they're kind of like a territory. But they get 2 senators. Think about that one. This is serious stuff right now, my friends. This is serious stuff. And we need a brand new party. And let me tell you something. If you think it's Fox News, you're out of your mind. I don't know who's worse, Fox News or these other people. Assunta Madonni. Thank you, Assunta. Now, I want to tell you this much. Is there anybody here who is not going to, stop. I forgot. This is what you got to worry about. I'm going to leave you with one thing tonight. We've been talking over an hour and 10 minutes, but I want you to hear something very carefully. Johnny, I want you to thank you. Kamala, Kamala, see. Now, here's what I want you to listen to. The way they're going to steal this, if they want to, is write-in and absentee ballots. The write-ins. See, they got all these people. They got all these folks, and they're walking around, and you got the Turning Point and this guy, and you got the whatever their names are, and they say, we're going to have a bunch of poll watchers. We're going to go and we're going to have people at the polls. Really? Is that right? Yeah. Oh, that's terrific. Wow. You're going to have people at yeah, we're going to do that. Okay. And what else are you going to do? Well, we're going to have, okay. And you're going to have this thing? Yeah. Good. And what do you think you're going to look for? Well, we're going to have training. And what do you mean? Well, we're just going to have these people, like Charlie Kirk. And God bless these people, but Lara Trump, how does Lara Trump know? Now, let me tell you something. Let me give you an example. You're there one day, and all of a sudden you get this thing. And it looks like, I don't know what it is. It's a piece. It looks like something like this. And you open it up, and you take your letter opener, and you say, great, what is it? It's a ballot. It's a ballot. Got that, Charlie? Got that, Lara? It's a ballot. Came in the mail. Open it up. What does the name say? Demetrius Splitkin. Okay. 123 Main Street, Kensington, Pennsylvania. The worst place. It was just Philly. And somebody says, wait a minute. Demetrius Splitkin. Run that name. What? Run that name. Name doesn't show up. Check the driver's license. Doesn't show up. Property owners. No. He doesn't exist. What are you talking about? He doesn't exist. The other day, North Carolina removed 747,000 ineligible names. Did you see that one? 747,000 names. Did you see that one? Did you? Can I tell you this again? North Carolina. Let me give you this number. I pulled this up. I saved this for you. The North Carolina State Board of Elections last Thursday found out, and they broke down the various reasons for the ineligibility. The highest amount of purge voters, just under 290,000, were voters who moved to a different county but failed to register their change of address. That's 290,000. Over 246,000 were removed for failing to participate in the elections. And the third highest amount of removed voters, of over 131,000, were deceased. So you don't know where these things come from. You don't know who this person is. This place, 123 Main Street. Can we check it? Anybody do a Google check? What is this? It's a 7-Eleven. It's a parking lot. What is it? I don't know. Come on, Charlie Kirk. What is this? You've got all these poll people. And by the way, be very careful of somebody who says, well, pay us $5-10 million and we'll have people there watching out for this. What are you looking for? This guy standing there, he's not doing anything wrong. He opened up a letter. I don't know. How do we know that there are 100 addresses going this? How do we know that these aren't absentee or these aren't ballot mills? How do we know? You really want to do? Here's the movie I would do. I would say, listen, and I'm just saying this is a possibility. Our union, the letter carriers, just endorsed Kamala, right? Yeah. In Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, or Tallahassee, or Albany, or Trenton, wherever your capital is, I found out from a guy that they're going to be sending all these letters, all these absentee ballots out. They're in big trays. You've seen those big trays, right, that they use and the post office comes and picks them up, right? What if I get a hold of them myself? What do you mean? What if I get a hold of them? Like Crypto says, what are the odds of the rest of the states following suit? I hope a lot. But what if I called you up and say, hey, listen, do me a favor. I got 100,000 ballots, 100,000. I'm going to give them to you. You can fill them out, mail them in. All for Kamala. There are 7 swing votes, 7 battleground votes, maybe 15 counties total. You don't need to win by a lot. This is the thing that keeps me up at night. It's the ballots. Not the Dominion, not the Smartmatic. Nobody's talking about that. And nobody's going to be talking about that on Fox or any of those other, because they're worried about another lawsuit, and nobody's talking about the machines. I'm talking about plain old ballots. We're using this antiquated system. You can look at any other country in the world, and these people know by 6 o'clock, an hour after they close the ballots, they know who won. And we're living in some kind of a weird time warp. I don't know what the hell's the matter with us. In any event, the bottom line is this. Donald Trump is going to win. Absent some tremendous cheating on the level, cheating according to the rules, Donald Trump's going to win. Guaranteed. It will take 4 years to maybe undo what we're doing. Your First Amendment is dead. If these people have it, we will have forever wars. We will have a reconstitution of NATO, the Victorian Newland-esque group of people. You're going to see a complete and total dissolution of constitutional and abecedarian rights. Anonymous says, you look like Carlos the Jackal there. Says, apologies for the stupid question, but can it still be too big to rig? It might be too close. See, one of the things that bothers me is you want it to be close, and you want to tell people it's close. You want to have these phony baloney polls to tell people ahead of time it's going to be close. It's ridiculous. The polls mean nothing. Never believe any poll. Never believe. Have you seen what the polls say? They'll say, for example, which do you prefer? Kamala Harris, hands down, they prefer Kamala. What do you mean they prefer? What does that mean, prefer? Don't know what that means. But it just means that that's different than having people who come forward and say that they are absolutely going to vote, likely voters. All right, my friends. Now, I've been doing this for an hour and 20 minutes, and I am beat. It is now midnight at the Oasis. Send your camel to bed. Maria Muldaur said it best. I want to thank you. I want to thank each and every one of you. Each and every one of you, glorious and great people, for your kind contributions and the like. Let me remind you of a couple of things. First, make sure you are subscribed to Lionel Nation. Lionel Nation, right here. The number of people who are not subscribed sometimes never ceases to amaze me. That's number one. Number two, we have a sister station. I keep saying a station. We have a channel, Lionel Legal. And today I went through this incredibly vicious, brutal review of the new cases against Diddy. Will blow your mind. As you know, I'm a lawyer by profession, trial lawyer, licensed, know the routine, former prosecutor, did all that stuff. Crypto, you were amazing. Thank you, my friend. A night to you, my friend. Thank you. Truffles is a new member. Thank you, Truffles. I appreciate that. So, we'll meet tomorrow at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. So come back. You're welcome back. Thank you. Thank you to the newcomers. Thank you to the folks. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you. It is indeed an honor. I love this country. I love this place. I know you're going to say, he's just good. I'm not a Republican. I can't imagine. I'm an independent, so I can vote something. The parties mean nothing to me. I didn't lose. I didn't leave the Democratic Party. They left me. I don't know who these people are. I don't even know what they're talking about. I don't know. And if somebody says something that makes sense to me, I'm going to vote for them if I think it makes sense, irrespective of their party. And I think you're the same way. All right, dear friends. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Again, you've honored me. I think it was hands down JD destroyed. Tampon Timmy. We'll see you tomorrow, my friends. I love you. And as we always end with this particular valedictory, this sayonara, this adios, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da, da.